Hey guys, welcome back to the Huddle, another episode that we've been trying to get for some time now. He's one of the hottest men in demand in the NBL. It's not a player, it's Justin Tatum. It's a phenomenal chat, so make sure you enjoy.
Man, this is fast. So these guys are good. The crowd looks great. Ian Clark and Dellavedova and thing. I'm like, man, they got former NBA champions, not just players. So as assistant coach, I was definitely on the beach when nobody knew that, Jayson Tatum dad was in Wollongong or in Australia, period. I was definitely okay. I was just a normal tall guy with tattoos and a beard. I was like, dude, I'm just seeing the culture change or something. Like I said, that's when I got into coaching. It's all working out so far.
Coach, appreciate your time. We've been looking forward to catching up with you for the last couple of months. Firstly, how's things with you and how's life in Illawarra?
Oh, life in Illawarra was good. It's good, man. Peaceful. Weather's good. Can't complain. I walked minutes away from the ocean, so life in Illawarra is good. Now just trying to finally get back on the winning track around here. So that's that always rubs you the wrong way, but we're in a good spot.
Well, you are in a great spot, especially since you've taken over. But the 3 losses in a row, obviously not ideal, but you've been so close to nearly winning all of them. So that is a positive. But how are you dealing with? How's the team dealing with it?
It was just up and down at times, especially when you lose a buzzer beater to the Cans, and then you expect to probably bounce back from and get a chance to compete better in Adelaide. And Brisbane was off 36 hours of double overtime from Taz, so that could have went any way. But we're in good spirits because we know from the mix from the 4th to the 10th spot, 1 or 2 games from jumping up 2 to 3 spots at any time. So we just find a way to get back on track, and practice has been good this week. So just ready to go into a tough spot, in Perth and give it our best shot, get a win.
I'm really excited to find out more in this chat about your coaching philosophy and how it all began. But I do want to just start with, you mentioned when you took over the Hawks and how you wanted to bring fun back to this team and in the organisation, and I think that everyone can agree that's happened tenfold, and it's been amazing to witness. Losing isn't fun. Yeah. So how do you make sure that mindset stays the same when you don't get too hard on yourselves? Because as you mentioned, double overtime game and then you have a heartbreaking buzzer beater. They are tough to swallow.
Yeah. I think just remind them guys that we've been on losing streaks. We had a terrible losing season last year, and it was creeping up to be the same thing in the beginning. And so we've been there before. We know what it feels like, but we also know what it feels like to have a 4-game winning streak and to come back from 18th to beat Sydney. And like I said about the double overtime in Taz and New Zealand. So these guys know what it feels to bounce back and have some wins together. So I think our morale is in a good spot. We just got to understand that, nobody's laying down this time of year because everybody's fighting for the same thing. So, but talking to the guys and having practice, spirits has been good. It's been more locked in and more serious because they know we're going to the belly of the beast this week, and we got to find a way to get our niche back.
Well, I want to ask firstly and foremost, because I know you've played professionally and overseas, but when did coaching begin for you? And when you were playing, did you always know you wanted to be a coach, or did it come later on in life?
Definitely a little bit later, but while I was playing, I kind of disliked all my coaches and stuff that I played for, but I got a love and passion for them now. I call them all back and tell them I'm sorry what type of player I was, for you, because I definitely understand now. But no, coaching didn't really start for me until I was overseas playing in the Holland League, and our downtime we were coaching, like they have camps out here. We was able to coach little league teams, and I seen how fun, how passionate kids love it. And my son Jayson at that time was about 7 years old. So when I got opportunity, when I came back home, I built programs and teams around him, and we just went, start forming teams like that and coaching Little League and things like that. And then probably about a couple years later, I got into high school. So, it was just starting to be a passion or something. I seen the change I can bring in that, young men lives and family lives, and how to bring just people from all around together and just enjoy winning and success, and, even enjoy losing, because, you just see the growth of your kids. And sometimes everybody understands you got to, have defeat here and there. So just that, as I've been doing that the last 16 years, high school wise, I just grown a passion probably when I was in my downwards career and playing over in Holland.
So during that playing moments, I want to go back even further. When did you fall in love with the game of basketball? Was it really early on? Do you remember the specific moments?
Yeah, it was like in eighth grade, man. I was a late bloomer in basketball because I was more of a football player. I played baseball, I like other sports, and I even ran track. And so when I started to grow, get taller, my knees started to hurt more. And running, running track wasn't helping, and getting hit in football wasn't helping either. So somebody was like, "Man, let's roll the ball out to me." When I was in eighth grade, and I was like, "Man, what you do with this thing?" They just said, "Put in the basket." And I was more of a aggressive, forward type guy. Loved dunking the ball, playing defense type thing. So. I got the passion for it in eighth grade, and I seen how it opened up opportunities for me in the summertime. We got AAU basketball over there, and in high school, then I got a college scholarship playing, grabbing rebounds and dunking the ball and being a great teammate, et cetera, et cetera. So, I started to get that passion in the eighth grade, but I also seen, that my skill set, was able to be developed way more. And, and that's what I kind of instilled in my son now. Then when he was younger, like, hey, instead of, being a forceful guy like Pops was, grabbing rebounds, we can be able to do multiple things, right? And so that's why I was able to start with him outside in instead of inside out, like I was taught late. So that's, my passion and love came from around that age and just blossomed and just grew and just went from there.
What was the pathway like? And you said to getting a college scholarship back then, because it's different now, and obviously your son went to one of the most prestigious schools in the world. What was it like for you, and how have things changed? And again, now that you're coaching some kids who could potentially go to the NBA, kids that might be looking to go to college still, there's so many different unique pathway and opportunities.
Yeah, man, there's so many different pathways that they are, that's positive, and, some guys think it's negative as well. But, back then you have to have a high ACT score. That was, all colleges recommended, you had to take to get in there and to regain your scholarship. You had to have a certain GPA. Well, you still do, but you had to have a certain GPA, 2.5 and higher. So it was kind of like a lot of more academic things, to be able to make sure you were. And then you have to be really good, right, to be able to have a scholarship from Stanford or Memphis or SLU or, Duke and things like that to be offered a 4-year scholarship. And those scholarships are year by year. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. Even though, say, you got a 4-year scholarship, but, there's more things that they can, you can do to break those contracts and play, behavior, or whatever the case may be. But now it's about, money, NIL, things like that. So now how a young high school kid can go ask for, do you have this much money to retain me or whatever? And then a lot of schools now, you don't even have to take the test and pass the ACT. You just got to have a certain cumulative GPA. So it's a big difference now. And like I said, a lot of plus, but it gives these a lot of young men, control, which, it's good and bad. Yes, some of those guys deserve what their popularity give them, but then, some of them got to, humble themselves, right? And then you can transfer to any school when you want to now, right after year. So it's like it's watered down here and there, but also I guess it brings some good grief, some good things for families who maybe need that income and who's worth that income. Don't get me wrong, but it's just different these days. But now enjoying the professional life here, I'm just really focused on who we recruit, right, and to play for what that their value is worth, and then they come to work. They know what they got to do. So it's enjoying a professional career coaching is, I think I get more excited in that than probably jumping into a college job.
Tell me a bit about your college experience. You mentioned the NIL. What kind of NIL deal would Justin Tatum be looking at if we could fast forward and you were playing college ball right now? We're talking. I had a great bagel shop in Albany, New York, but I'm assuming that would have been me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If I know what I know now, then I feel I'm worth a lot more. You know what I mean? But that's, so I think my value will be up because, but I would like to go somewhere, where I really want to play for that school name across the chest and the coach, right? So, if I still have my values of what I have now, then, that I think a lot different. But I mean, I'll definitely put a nice price tag on me.
And I'm sure well deserved. You all defensive caliber player when you were playing. What is it about defense, I guess, that you were elite at, but also I'm assuming you really loved being able to be that kind of defensive stopper, because not everyone is built to be great defenders, and we see a lot, especially in the league now in professional rankings. It takes a mindset to be able to do that.
It does, man. It became a passion of mine because I was around so many offensive guys who have developed that skill from way before I started playing basketball. And then, it was just like, what is your niche? I love my voice. I love to be vocal, even if, on the sidelines, I'm consistently, directing or influencing or encouraging my guys to do their job. And that was the same type of player I was back in college. And then, I'm like the physicality, I want to make sure that, that when you're playing against us, that you're going to get bumped, you're going to get screened right, you're going to be looking out for guys. And little things like that helps you win games because it takes people attention off their job of guarding this person and looking out for the screen or looking out for that guy who's, really aggressive on the rebounds is talking. So, and then, I bring that into my team because at the end of the day, defense wins championships. Point blank, period. I mean, I said I've never, we've seen last second shots and stuff like that go in, or we've seen one guy that, offensively just, put his team on his shoulders and score a lot of points, but then he still had to stop the other team from scoring more than you, right? So, that's my thing with my team. Like, I'm fine with sharing the ball and guys taking the shots that they're capable of making. They come in and practice every day, but I'm not fine with you not being upset when I keep somebody in front of you or remembering your your tag on your position or where you're supposed to help at or, allowing somebody out hustle you for the rebound. So those are my non-negotiables, and those guys understand that. And if you bring that, then I'm going to let you be the player that you're going to be, right? And or supposed to be for us to help us win game. But if it's not having that edge and that want to will, everybody's clearly not laterally the same. Everybody doesn't jump the highest, and some people don't talk that much. But you got to figure out what it is and give me a lot of it.
You've been in the league and around the league for a while now, and when you've got that defensive competitiveness just instilled in you, as obviously you have for so long,
Yep.
Any other players around the league that you look at and say, if I was still playing, I'd love to go to battle with that guy because I know that he's just a defensive menace?
Bull Quall is one of them. He's a fan favorite of mine. I like Huck Porty out there in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
He protects the basket. I like him as well. And then they got some good on-ball defenders like PJC Cartwright down in New Zealand. Really loves picking the ball up and turning the guys. And we got solid guys on our team. I like the way Wani plays his defense and keep guys in front of him. And some of the guys that I could take on my team with me to go and battle with every day.
As we record this, I should preface it by saying the Celtics are playing. So if you do have to have a gaze, if there's a game-winning shot on the line, let us know and we'll take a pause.
No, you're all good.
I have read that when you were coaching growing up and you coached your son Jayson, what was that like as an experience?
It was fun, man. It was fun. It was interesting. It was tough, for him and for both of us because we had him at 19 years old. So by the time he's 7, I'm 25, and I'm still young, passionate player, and want to get my point across. So, it was tough and it was good for him because at the end of the day, it made him to where he feels that nothing can go wrong, everything can go right if how you create it, right? And don't matter if it does go wrong, I'm gonna be ready for the next day. We move on to the next one, but I'm gonna give it my all every night. And so that's why you see a lot of his moves, his facial expressions, and the way he wants to kind of take over the game is just because it's just kind of been instilled with him from the jump. It was days that I fussed at him when he should have done it, and I gave him praise when he did do it, but I also I expect it from him, right? And so I'm not, he had his, everybody has their fan club, and deep down I'm always his biggest fan, but I will never express my enjoyment because I expect you to do that and more, right? And so it was a plus, and it was a plus, gift and a curse. But now that I see every 82 games and what he does in playoffs and 2-3-time NBA All NBA team, et cetera, like something worked, something got through, and it wasn't just the love and passion that he has for it. It was the expectation of what you got to do for yourself to see where you want to go, and all the self-driven things that he's at now. It was just just a piece of the puzzle how we started in the beginning. So it wasn't easy, and it wasn't easy, but I'm a very proud dad to be able to see how I helped his development.
And maybe not more so right now, but early on in his career, or whether it was at Duke, was there any instances where you were watching in games or in seasons where he had those maybe rough patches and the way he came out of those to deliver, where you looked back and thought, that's the thing we worked through in high school, that's what we did together to get you the way to the player you are today?
Yeah, it was adversity. There was times when he didn't start right off at Duke because he had a toe injury in the beginning of the off season, and when he came in, he was struggling as far as getting the feel for the game, the pace, because it was different from where he just came from, high school, and being number one player in the world, coming into Duke and being up and down, it can get to any 18-year-old kid. But just the way he, got in the gym after the games, or, found a way to watch more film on himself. Nobody had to tell him how to get out of his funk. He knew that what he was in, and, he's always grateful for encouraging words and people supporting him. But, he had to put that work in. And so once he, just found a way to, get in his groove, it just took one game, maybe took one shot, one move, one dunk, and it got his mojo back. So it was just things that I've seen, coming up, because I always challenged him during half times or after quarters, because he's always played 2 to 3 years up. He never played his age until he had to, which was, summer AAU ball or something like that. But besides that, he played 2 to 3 years up, and I was always critical of, how he's going to get out of that situation. So he kind of knew it, and the way he challenged himself, man, is always a proud moment for me.
True or false that I read somewhere that he was the one who kept you up to date with the coolest shoes when he was in high school? Was that a true story?
No, I was way more hipper than him. He's hip because of me, because he understand that, Pops was always showing had everything together, and he's definitely excelled where I'm at now. But, he found out, I rubbed off on him a little bit how to keep his swagger together. But now I get all the cool shoes through him. So yes.
Yeah. I'm interested. Take us through the pre-college process, because when you've got a potential number one pick, anyone who's got a potential lottery pick going into whether it's college, we know that we talk about the pathways a little bit. How stressful is that to make sure you get the right situation for who you know and who you believe is going to be a fantastic NBA player and what we see now? Is it tough at the time, or is it kind of you see one and you say, okay, it's Duke, and we just knew it was from the jump?
It's tough to, be able to be the number one player, then have every college in the world that will love for you to play for them. But a lot of those schools were realistic. He's not going that far, or, this conference is not what he wants. They kind of know it, but they'll praise how great of a player and person he is. But the ones who, definitely have a strong chance. It depends on the coaching, with us. The fan base is definitely going to be there. The colleges are going to be there after you leave there. So you got to understand what is the reason why you want to come play for those certain schools. And that's what we broke it down to. So with Duke being who, Coach K and the championships and, the production straight from Duke to ready to go to the league, was always on the top of our mind. But then he was a hometown kid. So he wanted to really have St. Louis University, where I played and graduated from, as an option too. And, he had the Kansas and the Texas and things like that. But Jayson was either a hometown kid, or, he's going to go somewhere where he's going to develop his skills and be able to put him on the best display. And we felt that Duke was that for him. And so, it was kind of easy for us, but we had to entertain so many different calls and people. But at that time, as it got later in the recruiting process, they knew that, they backed off and, kind of respect the privacy and just had it down to the schools that he wanted.
You mentioned a little bit there your time at St. Louis. If you take your mind back, could you ever have envisioned you'd be sitting here talking to me as a coach in the National Basketball League in Australia?
Not at all, man. No. My dream was to be doing what he's doing, playing in the league. So I never thought I was going to be coaching anybody, and definitely not a professional team in Australia. So I didn't even know where Australia was until one of my teammates from over here came and played with us, named Andrew Latimer. He came and played for us back in my time. And so he taught us a lot about Australia and how great it is. And, I still keep in touch with him to this day. So, but yeah, this is something different.
How does it even arrive that you end up in Wollongong, of all places, in Australia? Tell us a little bit about the process that brought you out here initially.
Yeah, funny thing, the owner, Jared, is we both went to the same high school, CBC High School, but he graduated 4 years before me, and I'm really good friends with his brother. And so when I got hired to coach at my alma mater for the last 10 years, Jared was on the process of, he'd been on the board of the school. And so when I got hired and had success early there, we started to have, build a relationship as far as the way before he bought the team. And then when he bought the team, they had their, tough year the year before, the 3-25, and asked me to just come out and do some consulting to see if I can make him connections with some NBA players or former NBA players that maybe want to come play in this league, so they won't have to go. It won't be so difficult for them to get who they want. And he invited me down in late March of 2023. Came down for 3 weeks, and I said, I'm only doing consulting. Don't ask me to do any coaching or nothing, because I'm I'm totally fine where I'm at. I'm enjoying, my, winning here and every year at the school, and I'm going to games and watching games and stuff. So I'm okay. And when I got down here, Jared is a businessman, and he figured out to say, hey, I'm gonna show you everything about Australia and how beautiful it is, and then I'm gonna ask you about coaching at the end. And so before I leave out, so he asked me about it before I left out. After I was wild down in Wollongong and Sydney and back and forth, I'm like, this is just the winter time. I can't even imagine what the summertime looks like, right? And so I got home back to the States. It was really on my mind. The offer was there for assistant coach to come down and help the program, change directions. And so, I decided to step back from coaching high school, and I came down in July, and I said, hey, I'm going to get work on my professional, coaching career, not knowing that I'm going to be the head coach or be put in this position. And 2 months later, I'm talking to you as the head coach, and, we're having some success, need to have more. But, it's been great. It's been great.
I can imagine it is still a tough decision to make, because you mentioned coaching the high school, your resume speaks for itself and the legacy that you've created there, but then to kind of pack all that up at that time and move overseas, and yes, you had a little bit of a taste, but it's still relatively unknown, the entire landscape of living in Australia. You mentioned the different seasons, but the league as a whole, what was the whole thought process like? Was it a no-brainer in the end, or did it take a bit of convincing?
Oh, it took a lot of convincing. I watched a lot of different games off what we have, the Huddle thing and the synergy and stuff like that, just to see what the league is like. And I'm like, man, this is fast. Oh, these guys are good. The crowd looks great. Like, it was things that was enticing me to come over, and some of the players that's been over here, like Ian Clark and Dellavedova and thing. I'm like, man, they got former NBA champions, not just players. So, just got a chance. That wowed me. And then once again, like I said, just being able to travel to New Zealand and Perth and twice and stuff like that. I'm like, that I need to step out my boundaries and, be able to experience some of these things and, and get paid doing it. And so I was like, and that's something that I love. And so it took some convincing, but, the thing was, it wasn't a bad, it was only like 6 or 7 months. Some season Euros like 11 months, and that's tough to do all the way in Russia or somewhere. That's nothing, I want to do that. So down here in Australia, beautiful country, man, great people, great league. Got a chance to enhance my skills as a coach professionally now. That's on my resume, and even, stepped it up even more as a head coach. So it's all working out so far.
I mean, you've got lucky to land in what was my favourite away trip. There's nothing better than you go in there, you play the next morning before we flew out, you're in the beach doing recovery. It is a beautiful part of Australia. So what do you get up to when you're not coaching? Or are you always watching film, or you like to stroll the beach? What do you get up to?
When I was an assistant coach, I hit the beach all the time. I watch a little film, but now as the head, and then now and being highlighted of who my son is and et cetera, it's kind of tough to enjoy yourself out there, because the people enjoy winning, they enjoy knowing what's in their neighborhood. And so I'm more of just a quiet person, especially I'm out here by myself, and I got games to watch, I got film to do. So I normally be in the house or watching off my balcony, but sometimes one of my days off, I like to people watch too. So I'll drive down to Sydney just to take that the hour and a half, just reset button, things like that. But as an assistant coach, I was definitely on the beach when nobody knew that Jayson Tatum dad was in Wollongong or in Australia, period. I was definitely okay. I was just a normal tall guy with tattoos and a beard. I was like, dude, now you got to see my son jersey being worn more at the games, around, even on the road, sign this, take this. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But now it's just but that's I'm glad I have the option to be able to hit the beach and the golf course whenever I want to, but mostly I'm a homebody.
I didn't know you were a man on the link, so do we have to kind of set something up? You don't mind getting out on the course? Yeah,
I love it. Me and Gary get on the course all the time. So, we do it about once or twice a week at one time. And so, but, since these doubleheaders has been slowed down a little bit, but I get out there all the time. Club's ready to go. Let me know.
Tell us a little bit about what the most rewarding thing is for you as you sit here right now. You've taken over this team, and I keep saying on broadcast, but the vibe, the energy around the whole organisation is night and day. It seems like a beautiful, fun place to be a part of. What's the most rewarding thing for you? We know there's a lot of time left in this season, but what is it?
To see that come all together, like a lot of those things you just said, that community that when I first came in first games, it was maybe 2,200 people, and the last couple games have been over around about 4. And then, like I said, the organization now, people are more seeing that we can take a loss here and there, but as long as it's a competitive loss, and as long as our guys are giving it their all and having a chance to win here and there, people will feel more satisfied and great coming to work, and just seeing all the the happiness and the smiles from the organization, but also seeing the players enjoy what they do, and at the end result, have a winning streak here and there, or be in a game that found out what our mistakes was to win it next time, and not just sit up here and mope around or just come to a dull practice. So I'm just seeing the culture change is something, like I said, that's when I got into coaching, and from there, and it was changing young men's lives and having parents see their sons go to have a scholarship opportunity here is bringing professional athletes and having the same result without minus some of the other things. But it's just great to see that when you do have a big win versus Perth and you come outside, the streets are full of people walking around who just left the game, and I'm like, man, it wasn't like that when I first got here. So just seeing the transition in a happy place, and what is the longest tenured program deserves, right? So I think they deserve that, and they know what team they get in day out, day in, year in and year out. They just want somebody to compete and come cheer about it and hold their head up high for, and we're giving that to them right now.
You mentioned when you were looking back at old games and you saw the NBA champions running around, the fans and everything. What became so enticing about this league, and we still see it now, and again, we can keep talking about it, it's the second best league in the world, but it becomes a destination for NBA players wanting to get back there, the next stars, all of that. Again, if you had to pitch it to somebody, it seems like it wouldn't be that hard of a pitch.
No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. I mean, you can sell the country on its own, and how you love to get up to work every day. You don't have to really heat your car up to drive somewhere. You can just jump in some shorts and go work out. That's more enthused than like looking out and be a dull city. But the country is great, but the league of its own is like there's no slouches in this league. I don't care who you're playing. You see what Adelaide is doing right now, minus a couple players. Day in and day out, you're going to get great competition from each team, no matter what. And then just the vibe of the NBL, of how it's marketing, its players and what's going on, and how they try to make sure they simulate the league as much as possible. As far as the players association, and as far as everybody's involved to a certain extent. So just being able to have multiple imports. If you are American, you will have some people who can relate to you, from where you're from. So it won't be just you and 10 and 11 Australians or Sudanese or whatever, guys from all over. So, there's multiple ways where I can pitch this league, and then also, once again, letting the guys who's played in before and where they came from. And the main thing you can promote from this league that is not as long as the Euro League, right? So if you play well for the 6-7 months, and the Celtics want you to come play for them the next, 2 to 3 months for the run, and because you've been playing well, you can make a roster spot. You don't always have to come from the G League. So it's multiple things that you can promote this league for.
Got a couple questions left for you. I want to throw it out there. What kind of pitch do you make? Not so much pitch, but what kind of players do you like to recruit? Are you looking at people first? Are you looking at their characteristics or traits as players? Because we see different coaches and different makeup of teams in the NBA and around the world.
I like open-minded, great human beings. You don't always have to, it's something in your life that you do that's special for somebody else, and it got to be outside of basketball. If you volunteer yourself to shelter sections, or if you do something at church, or you visit your grandma or something, just something that you do outside of basketball to make you a great person. And that's kind of like my first thing that as I see your talent, because that's the first thing that's going to attract me to you. But as I have a conversation, and if you tell me, yeah, coach, every Sunday, I go, give clothes to the thrift store or something like that. It could be something that small, right? But you're trying to find a way to have a better outlet besides basketball, and it's helping somebody else's life, and that lets me know what type of person you are, because you're easy now to be able to mold into a group of other guys similar than you outside of basketball, but still have that competitive edge. And so if I can get those type of players along with their talent, skills, and knowing that I'm going to push buttons, and at the end of the day, it's about making you a better person and a player, and you accept it, because nothing I say I'm taking it to you personally, like I'm gonna dislike you the next day. I don't care if you missed like 3 free throws like Hung Jong did in Taz. I came in and gave him a hug and say, hey, even though I fussed at you in the huddle, let's go out to dinner next day. It is what it is, basketball. So, and as long as my players can understand that, where I'm coming from, and who they are, is mostly probably, like I said, it's the character first, but the talent that you have makes me know who your character is.
Well, I'll let you get back to watch the Celtics game, and I do want to just end on this because we saw the press conference when you took over, and Jayson had some really nice things to say about you taking over as the head coach, and then you went on all these winning streaks and everything. What was it like, the conversations with him after becoming the head coach of the Hawks and really turning things around in such a short amount of time?
Well, he was happy for me. He was like, man, yep. He's talking about, do you fuss at him? I said, man, y'all too grown for me to fuss at. So we asked, like, we joke about little things that, how I am as a high school coach or with him back in. And I said, no, it's much different. But I mean, I asked him questions of how, his head coach approached him, little things that, maybe give me, little pointers here and there. And so, but no, he's definitely happy for me. It was good. It was a good conversation. He knows I'm a competitive person, so he knows at the end of the day, say, yeah, you're gonna find a way. You know what I mean? If you got them, if they listen to you, you're gonna find a way because I'm with them. I'm with them the whole 40 minutes, right? And, only time I sit down, when I give my speeches before the games, I have a seat because they're like, yep, this is the only time he's gonna sit down, so he might as well calmly talk about it because I'm with my guys the whole time, and I want them to feel my presence while I'm with them. And so, no, he was ecstatic about it. And, hopefully that, we get back on that winning streak and get in the playoffs like them because we always kind of challenge each other. I said, hey, you win a chip, I win a chip. You get in the playoffs, I get in the playoffs. So we always tit for tat. And, right now I got to catch up with them.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen next, but I think along with nearly every NBL fan, hopes that we can see you around here for a whole lot longer. And again, it just seems that inevitable, okay, then let's just get a Boston Celtics, Illawarra Hawks preseason game at some point. I mean, it seems to work. Bring them down here. If they want to play down here, it'd be great.
Yeah, I doubt we can get them down here, but if I get that, if I get that in the mix, if I'm back, I'm definitely pushing for it. You know what I mean? So we got the right connections. I'd love to have that, me and him on the sideline, and if that could make it work that way, I'd love to do it.
I'll pull some strings, don't worry about it. Coach, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And again, we love what you're doing and good luck the rest of the season and beyond.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.